Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I'm your host, Josh, and today we got a special episode of the Afternoon Tune. I'm doing an interview with a creator who's been on before. So it's a pleasure to have him back. Have them back there. Cher, Aime. Hello, how are
Mm,
you? Uh,
well, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good there. Cher Aime is a creator, director, writer, producer of the series Captain Zero. They were there before discussing that on the channel. People can look at the old interview there on youtube.com, The Afternoon Tune. If they just type in their name, Cher Aime, that will pop up right there on the channel. And they've been on a little bit when we have a conversation before the interview started, a worldwide tour.
Yeah.
So yeah, we getting them on their come up there. It's always great. We're getting that. Nice,
Got me at the right time, the perfect time.
perfect time, right when the come up is happening. It's gonna be looking back at this 5 years. It's like when that guy nominated. It's like, hey, they were on this show, so that's
Exactly.
very awesome there. But for the uninitiated, why don't you let people know about you, what you got going on, everything like that.
All right, well, hello everyone. Again, like Josh said in the very, very beautiful intro, I'm Cher Aime. I'm the writer, director, creator behind the project Captain Zero. Man, I mean that's really the brass tacks of everything that you need to know. Non-binary, Haitian American, have a deep love of film, animation, and yeah, I'm just really, really excited to share with people this new project that we have, Captain Zero Into the Abyss Part 2. It is a follow-up to our 2021 short film with the same name, but this one is everything is bigger. The budget, the cast, the animation style, the visual quality, as you can see from our super, super amazing trailer made by our super, super phenomenally talented artists. And yeah, right now we're actually in the middle of going on a tour. Now that we have our world premiere out of the way, we just had our world premiere at Tribeca Festival. We are now hosting some private screenings at various different cities. If you actually go to cuttingedgeanimation.com/tours, you can actually see all of the cities that we're going to. We have 3 confirmed dates so far. And then we're going to be adding a couple of more as the months go on. So definitely check us out.
So this is cuttingedgeanimation.com there. People can check out that, but also this was mentioning the private screenings there, the merch, the projects there.
Yeah, projects, you can see all of our projects that we're working on, the current projects we have, the future projects that we have slated. And then again, yeah, you hit that private screening option and you're going to be able to see what city we're going to be taking the short film, and possibly it could be a city near you. So definitely check that out.
A city coming near you right there. So that is possible there. Do you want to let people know about your social medias there? You want people to follow you? You got
Yes,
stalkers
yes,
yet?
yes. I mean, me personally, gosh, my social media has always been so much. But if you definitely want to keep up to date with everything involving the project, Captain Zero TAS on all social media platforms. That's going to keep you abreast with everything that we got going on. So definitely check us out there.
This is your Twitter. If people want to check
Yeah,
you out
yes.
here.
And also, if you want to follow me personally, that's Cher Aime on all social media platforms as well. Super easy. It's just my first name.
Yeah, so that's very awesome. So people can check out all your things right there. But yeah, so I mean, so that interview that we did there, it was a few years ago. I think a year or two ago there, an interview, and then like I said, much has changed for you. Tribeca Film Festival, which is pretty big there.
Yeah.
Just let me know about what that experience is like for you.
Man, Tribeca was amazing. That was a phenomenal experience. Oh my God, the staff and the crew that was helping us out, helping coordinate the event, they were so amazing. Madison, Hannah, is one other person, Alex, great, amazing people that definitely helped us with everything that we needed. They were super, super kind, accommodating. I also got to meet Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, that was crazy. That was super surreal. Talking to her was so, man, it honestly the coolest part about it is it didn't feel strange or weird or out of place. I didn't feel nervous at all while we were talking and interacting with one another. It literally felt like I was just talking to like a family member, like an aunt of mine. She was so kind, so warm. She gave me such amazing words of encouragement. And the showcase itself was phenomenal. We premiered alongside, I believe, 8 other projects that same day in our specific programming, Whoopi's Wonderful World of Animation. And yeah, there were so many other really, really great films that we showcased alongside of. But that experience was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, very nice there. Very, very awesome. Yeah, very, very cool. And like I said, this project
That's
bigger.
the full team. That's the full team. That's our C-suite. Going from left to right, we have Andre Enko, my vice president. Then we have Lori Jones. They are our executive assistant. We have Detalian Holt. That's our CFO. Then we have Queen L. Hibbler. That's our CMO. Then you got me right there. Then you have Kathy Shechami. That's my sister, who's actually our project manager. And then you have the amazing, wonderful Chris Carther, and he's our COO.
Very nice. Very dope there. Very beautiful. Awesome. But yeah, I imagine that was a great experience there, being there at the Tribeca Film Festival. Did you were able to catch any movies yourself there or anything? Or
There was so much going on. I wanted to, but no, we actually ended up not being able to see any other projects outside of the ones that were inside our project block. That we were also in the same program with. So those were the only projects that I got to see at Tribeca. I really wanted to see A Spoonful of Chocolate, the feature film that was directed by RZA, because Zoli, she's the actress who also plays Butterfly Girl inside our project. She's very close, with RZA and the entire team when they were working on the Wu-Tang Clan show for Hulu. I wanted to see that, didn't get a chance to see that. That's the only one I can really, really think of being like, damn, I really want to see that, but I didn't get to. But yeah, no, there was just so much going on that weekend with coordinating and organizing and making sure that we got everything right with the team, and as well as our cast and crew as well. So no, unfortunately, outside of our project block, we didn't get to see any other projects.
Okay. And I asked that also because I know, just in terms of we talked about it during last time, just black art. If you just collaborated with some other artists there that were black, kind of picked their minds about certain things, kind of picked up some things from them. But you did have kind of a little bit, it feels like another shift in black art. Probably, I don't think, well, as big as something we've had maybe since would it say since Black Panther with Sinners. And I,
Oh God, don't get me started on Sinners. I can go on for days and days and days and days. I love that film. I own it now. I was literally watching it earlier today. I saw it 7 times in theaters when it was still running in theaters. Like, my goodness, like that film is an absolute masterclass in filmmaking as a whole. But oh my goodness, storytelling, oh my gosh, the way that Ryan Coogler masterfully weaves both history, culture, and story. Like, God, just so good. Phenomenal performance by Michael B. Jordan. Oh my goodness, the entire cast. The lighting, cinematography, editing, the music, Ludwig Göransson going absolutely insane in that studio. Phenomenal debut performance by Miles Canton. Just great all around. I have nothing but great things to say about that film, and I will fight anybody that has anything negative to say about Sinners.
Oh, yeah. So watching this, was it very kind of? You think it would be how hugely impactful was this movie on you, just from a creative, artistic perspective, and then also where do you see this kind of going for other Black creatives, kind of coming up in the could this have this huge impact there as well?
Oh man, for me, the thing that I got out of it is, man, it brought back spectacle to theater. I haven't felt like you said earlier, I hadn't felt that excited to go see a movie, to go to theaters, to have that theatrical experience since Black Panther. That was the last film that I really, really was like, oh my gosh, like I need to get up, I need to get dressed for this. This is a thing. I want as many people to see it as possible. Like, that movie for me, I feel like really, really just reinvigorating the feeling of going to a movie theater, what made going to a movie so special. Again, I think that's another one of the things that Ryan Coogler in that film executes so well. And not only is such a great, compelling narrative and story, but it also works as a great blockbuster as well. Like, he's doing two things at the same time. Usually you get one or the other. Usually if you get a film that's, critically acclaimed, great story, great performances and all that, it usually isn't all that commercially successful. And then if you do get something that's very, very commercially successful, it's kind of something that feels very by the numbers, not really extraordinary story-wise. But this film manages to do both things and do them both so well. So on that level, what it really got me thinking about, especially because the next thing that we're working on after the short film, now that the short film is done, is the feature film version of Captain Zero. So it got me a lot. It got me thinking a lot about the theatrical experience and what I want people to feel when they're watching the Captain Zero movie and how I want the audience to engage with the art. And then on an artistic level, again, I feel like Ryan, every single time I watch a body of work from his, it just makes me strive for more. Like Ryan Coogler as a filmmaker is what Kendrick Lamar is as like a musician. The way that he's just like so detailed and layered, and you could go over a line and there's like quadruple entendres. There's just so many depth and meaning to all the things that you're seeing on screen. I feel like Ryan is that surgical when it comes to his writing and his storytelling. And honestly, it inspires me and makes me feel like man, like I gotta go harder. Are these scenes turning as good as they could be? Are these character moments as impactful as they could be? Are these action scenes hitting the way that I want to? Are these emotional scenes connecting the way that I want to? So after watching that, I definitely had to dust off the script for the movie again. And I'm like, let me give this a good once over and just make sure, I'm doing everything that I need to. Because I don't see how you as a creative don't watch something like that and immediately it makes you think like, oh no, I gotta step on my game. I gotta go harder. Because if you're doing this, oh no, I gotta go harder.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people had that kind of reaction to it. It became an event. Come and take
Yeah.
friends with you, just like much like Black Panther was. You got people are doing. I've seen some people do juke joint party theme parties
Yes.
there now, so they're doing that.
Yes.
So you got that. So yeah, very hugely kind of inspirational there. And box office wise, huge success. 10th. Now it's I think officially past Hangover being the 10th
Yeah.
highest grossing rated R movie ever.
Rated R film of all time. Doing that as an original story, an original IP. What, on a budget of what, 90 million? Phenomenal.
And your story, glad you looped it back into your kind of story there with Captain Zero, there being your own original IP in this sea of remakes and sequels and prequels and everything like that. What's kind of going on here for people who don't know about with Into the Captain Zero Into the Abyss Part 2 there?
Got you. So Captain Zero Into the Abyss Part 2 is really a deeper dive into the psyche of Xerxes Hughes. We're rejoining again Xerxes, the entire project framed through his therapy sessions as Xerxes tries to uncover the cause of these random blackouts that he's been having. Also, while he's recounting to his therapist, his escapades as a superhero. Just like kind of how we left off in part one, he's kind of tiptoeing around talking about the fact that he's a superhero. But in this version, it's very obvious that Dr. Niobe begins to start putting some of the pieces together and, getting some of those context clues as to what he's talking about as we kind of see in flashback form how he's dealing with some of the new anxieties that his newfound fame as a superhero begins to bring him. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited for people to see it. I'm really, really excited for these private screenings, especially coming off of doing MomoCon in Atlanta, going to DreamCon, and then going to New York. And then even the screening that we just had, the private screening we had at the Smithsonian Museum for African art, and seeing what the turnout was and what the response was. Like, it's so great now being out in the actual world, being able to like touch the people, interact with the people, actually see who's resonating with it. And man, the responses that we're getting every single time that people get to see with this and engage with it, it just makes me so excited as a filmmaker, as a creator, to know that your vision, your story is hitting, it's landing. So yeah, no, I'm really, really excited for people to see part 2.
Yeah, and I saw it. You blessed me with the privilege there of being able to
Yes, that private screening.
So that was very cool. Thank you very much there.
Of course.
And I was able to review it on Letterboxd, which you are encouraged.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Oh, no worries. It was my pleasure to do it. So people who out there, I was able to review it there and score it on Letterboxd. So if people want to check that out, they can do so there. If people who aren't as blessed as me to get that private screen and see it in person, you can check that out. And it kind of brings up into my next question there. Just seeing you just online a little bit, and then now that I guess is this the kind of the first time you've had a mass kind of reaction to your work? Like, is this the
Yeah.
people that
Yeah, no, this is definitely the first time I've actually had, especially like when the people are in front of you, again, with everything like being online, like, we've always, because we've been building the fandom and the world of Captain Zero for almost a decade now. But that in-person interaction was a completely different thing. So seeing the response in person has been so great, so amazing. The thing that I've really, really been enjoying seeing is seeing who our target demographic is and seeing their response to having watched the project and how it makes them feel. And then, moreover, all of the Easter eggs that people have been able to pick up, all of the creative influences that people have been able to notice about the project. That's been one of the most rewarding things I've been seeing in the reviews as they've been starting to trickle in.
yeah. And it's interesting. We just had a discussion about Sinners, and one thing people really remarked and loved about Sinners is, like you talked about, the cultural aspect, people connecting to it in ways, this history there. And then when that movie came out, even though not to overshadow the mass positivity that it had overall, and so many people going to the theater and having such a good time with it, there was a little bit of this outlier there who people go like, "Well, I didn't really get it. It just seems like Dust from Dusk Till Dawn," or you know what I mean? Like I didn't really see the big hype about it. Or not that you gotta love. It's okay if you don't like the movie. It's fine. Um,
Uh,
but when you say your target kind of demographic, your target audience, there,
hmm.
you think your project is injected with a lot of those cultural type of influences there from your background?
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is definitely one of those projects where it's like, not having cultural literacy isn't going to affect your ability to still engage with it as a piece of entertainment, but you're definitely going to lose some of what makes it as great as it is. Again, it's the exact same thing with Sinners. It's like if you go into Sinners and the only thing that you're able to really extrapolate or take away from it is that, like, this is a really cool vampire movie with Michael B. Jordan, you're still going to have a good time. But you're not going to understand why there are people that regard it as such a great, amazing, culturally significant masterpiece. Like when I was rewatching it the other day, there was this analysis that I made, and it's when the very infamous scene where Sammy is playing this music and he's conjuring up both spirits from the past and the present, and it gets towards the very end of that scene after this very high note, and you see the roof literally being on fire and it coming down, and it's showing you them, and there's like no walls in the building, just like some of the burning pillars of what once was the juke joint. But as the camera pans back, they almost quite literally look like they're in a different space, a different plane, like they've completely left Earth altogether. And then you hear this voiceover from Delta Slim, and he says, "With this music, we heal our people, and it gives us the ability to be free." And it made me think about, oh my God, like in this moment, we are quite literally seeing Ryan depict and show to us visually how music has been something that for Black people, especially during instances of chattel slavery and bondage, how this was one of the few things that allowed Black people to be quite literally transported to a place of freedom. So you watch this scene and you see all of these people that are in this juke joint that have now been transported to this completely different plane. There are no walls, there are no barriers. It is just them together in community. And then, as it pans away, you see Remick and, the other vampires that are looking, that are, transfixed by their ability to create this spell, if you will, where they can transport, where they can teleport, where they can do these magical things. And again, that being the thing that Remick wants, the ability to have this thing that Black people have been able to create. And it's like, if you don't have that cultural context, you're just going to watch that scene and be like, oh, like he was singing and like the roof was on fire. And like now they're like, I guess like in some place. Cool. You'll just think it's an interesting visual sequence, but without that cultural context, you won't understand what gives that visual sequence depth. So I think, again, likewise with Captain Zero, there are so many things that are going to be, especially in the feature film version, because The short film that we just put out is only 15 minutes. The feature film is 93 minutes. So there is so much more world, so much more story, so much more character, so many more chances and opportunities for us to have these great, amazing moments of Black cultural context. That's like, if you get it, you'll get it, and it'll heighten your overall viewing experience.
Mm. And something else that's prevalent in your work that you talked about there that is, kind of getting a more acceptance there. It's more widely talked about than it was, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, mental health. And that's kind of a big part of your work. And I know there was another just recent superhero piece of media that just came out recently that dealt with mental health there, which was that film Thunderbolts, which did
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think during our first time we talked, it's maybe not a whole lot of superhero media that does that and
Mm.
intertwines those kind of things together. With the mental health aspect of it, how important is that to the story for people and for yourself?
Oh yeah, no, for me again, that's really that's the crux of the story. Like I, often tell people all the time, like me parading Captain Zero like it's a superhero story is really the wolf in sheep's clothing. That's really the enticing part that I want to use to draw people in. But at the heart of this story, it's not about superheroes. It's not about punching bad guys, and it's not about any of that. Really, at the heart of this story, it's about this mental health journey that this young Black boy is on, while he tries to, uncover, these causes and really get down to the root of it, really actually try to get some legitimate help for what he's dealing with. And for me, that is so important to always make sure it's at the absolute forefront, because that's why I made Captain Zero. I made Captain Zero because I wanted to tell a story about mental health, and then all the superhero stuffs are just, the cherry on top that makes it more interesting for people to want to engage. But first and foremost, this is a mental health story.
Mm. And did you have a lot of people coming up to you saying like that really resonated with me? That really hit me hard. Did you have some people with like that that came up to
Oh
you?
my goodness. I will never forget when we were in Atlanta, when we were at MomoCon, and we had a panel there and we had a booth. And there were a couple of people that had come up to me that had been following the projects for years. And there was this girl who came up to me. My goodness. I'm not going to say her name on here for, privacy reasons, but she came up to me and she was like, I just need to tell you thank you, because there are so many times and instances where, I deal with mental health issues and I felt like giving up, and I felt like, okay, I feel like today's going to be it. I feel like today might be my last day. And then I would log into Twitter and I would see you make an update about Captain Zero. And I'd be like, okay, well, I guess I got to stick around another day or a couple of weeks longer, because I have to see where this is going. And she was like, you have been quite literally for so many years one of the main reasons of what's helped me, continue going on. And even now, she's actually in school studying to be an animator. And when I tell you, like, that hit me like a
Mm.
ton of bricks, because I have no idea who this person is. I've never met this person before. We might have had a couple of interactions online, but it's like, I don't know who this person is. So to have someone tell me that my work has quite literally directly impacted their life, has saved their life in some instances, is like, my goodness, like, that's the reason why I did it. That's the reason why I made this show, so that there would be more people that felt seen, that there would be more people that felt like they could open up, that felt like they could talk about this, that there would be people that would want to pursue those avenues of being able to get help. So to actually have a real life face-to-face interaction with someone who told me that your art quite literally saved my life, that was, oh my goodness.
Mm. Yeah, I imagine that's a huge compliment to get.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my god! Like I was floored. Like I didn't even know what to say. And at one point she was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, can I give you a hug?" And I was like, "Yes, of course." But it was so insane to see the level of impact that you can have on people. And again, like, I made this project because I was trying to save my own life. I was trying to find my own voice. And it's so amazing to see that all of these years after the fact, that what initially started out as something that was supposed to help me has now turned into something that can help others. So that's beautiful.
Mm. And also, if you want to just talk about like, your journey there, you mentioned there about that was a big thing of how this project kind of saved your life. You want to just talk about your journey a little bit? I know you did beforehand, about
Yeah.
animation and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I'm a suicide survivor. I mean, my very last attempt was in 2015 on September 26th, and that's also the birth date of Captain Zero when the idea was initially conceptualized. I created Captain Zero out of a depressive episode that I almost lost, and I remembered at myself. I remember during that time thinking to myself, like, I basically have two options here. I can do something destructive, or I could try to find something constructive. And at that point in time, I ended up, leaning on, what had always been my saving grace since I was a child, and that was art. And I took I took some paper off of this stack of computer paper that I had that was by, and I just started, drawing. And again, initially the goal was just to, like, purge all of these thoughts and feelings that I was having. But then shortly after, as I was like, oh my God, like, I really just wish people understood. I really wish I could tell people what I'm feeling, what's going on, so that they would understand. But I'm like, I feel like if I just try to tell them, they won't get it. I have to figure out a way to get this message to people in a way that can be digestible. And then, I started thinking about all of my influences, my love of animation, my love of superheroes. And then, yeah, initially the idea was supposed to be, Captain Zero was supposed to be about my senior year of high school, being diagnosed with major depressive disorder. But then, as I started thinking about all of my influences, I was like, how do I, create something that can be that entertaining way to bridge the gap between perception and reality when it comes to mental health? So then came in the superhero elements and all of that. And then, yeah, that very night, the idea for Captain Zero was born.
Very nice. And it's led to kind of this moment here with, like I said, making big moves, getting big names.
Yeah. Tribeca, being able to meet all these amazing fans, going to the Smithsonian Museum, like, that was amazing. Shout out to Plus Ultra Entertainment and Record for helping set that up. That was absolutely phenomenal. It seems like we're finally in a space with the project that we're getting. And it's also even interesting to even see some other people that will meet in spaces, and I'll be like, "Hi, I'm Z," and they're like, "I know who you are," or like, I'm aware of what Captain Zero is," and I'm like, "That's crazy." To see just how much it's grown and how many people follow it. Like, there's always, like, that saying of, like, you never know who's watching, and being in all these different spaces and actually being able to meet and interact with people, it's been so amazing to see just how far this story that started out in my apartment in college when I was a very depressed young adult, that has now turned into this whole amazing story that resonates with people, that people are anticipating seeing and watching. So it's been quite the journey.
Yeah, it's been great watching you there during that journey. And um, I guess, what kind of advice there? Because this has not been an instantaneous thing. It's kind of been a long road there.
Very
Um,
long.
yeah, I mean, kind of. I guess, well, what would be your advice there? People there that are trying to do what you do, get into there. They see you, on maybe social media now. It's like, oh, he's hanging out
Yeah.
with Goldberg. He's, doing all this.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know that's happening. I know there's definitely lots of people that are just now getting aware, and it's like, oh my gosh, this looks like the coolest thing. What, you're going here and you're going there and you're doing all these things, and it's like, yeah, but before we did any of that, there was lots and lots and lots of years of just working, essentially behind the scenes, doing all these things, trying to get the project out there. Again, the ultimate goal for Captain Zero is a television show. That's still the goal. Even now, as we work on this feature film, the goal after the feature film is, again, to broaden our audience to the point where more people will be invested in the world of Captain Zero and New Troy City and want to know more, and then us have the ability to do the TV show. But the advice that I would give to anybody that is looking to get into film or television or animation or just pursue any creative outlet is, one, first and foremost, man, you really got to want it. And you got to want it bad, because it's that want, it's that desire that's going to push you through those days where it feels impossible. Again, I've been working on this project for nearly a decade, and I can think of 4 separate instances throughout that decade where I was almost like, you know what? Just throw this whole shit away. Let me just not even. It's too hard. It's too difficult. I'm not making the connections I want. I'm not making it the kind of progress that I want. Like, something that was a good thing that helped me out when I started was the belief that at any point in time, I could make this deal and this TV show could be on air. That was a good thing that helped motivate me. But something that was also to my detriment about thinking that way is the belief that any of it would be instantaneous. Like the old saying goes, it takes about 10 years to become an overnight success. And that's, quite literally the case for us. So it took a lot of time. So, you've got to be willing. You've got to have that desire, that drive, that passion. Second thing, it sounds very, very cliche, but once you're actually in the act of doing it, you'll understand exactly what I mean. And that is, you just got to get out there and do it. You have to do the thing and give yourself permission to be bad. The first script that you write, you're not going to write Pulp Fiction. I promise you, it's not going to happen, but that's okay. It's the repetition, it's the practice, the act of doing, which will eventually start to strengthen your ability as a storyteller, strengthen your individual voice. And these are the things that will eventually make you great. I didn't get to the point where I could walk into any room, talk to any actor or producer, give them a script, and they say yes automatically until I got to about draft like 134. It was the 134th draft of Captain Zero that we showed to Angelica Ross, Keith David, that they saw and read and instantly were on board. But I had to rewrite that same pilot script 134 times to get there. So it's like, you're not going to get there on your first draft or your second or the 8th or the 10th or the 39th or the 57th. But you will get there if you are willing to be consistent, if you allow yourself the permission to be bad, and if you want it and you desire it bad enough. And the third thing is, you can't do it alone. You have to find a group of people that share values, that have an understanding of your vision, of your message, that can help you push it to new heights. Because while I am the writer, director, creator, one of the lead artists that does the concept arts for the project, I couldn't have made this whole thing by myself. It took a team of 17 plus animators. It took a team of a very, very experienced, editor, Justin Gates, shout out to Justin. It took the experience of someone like, my CFO, Detalian Holt, someone like, Chris Carthen, my COO, someone like Queen Hibbler, my CMO, that brought all of these various different intersections of these skills that help come together and build out the project to the scale that it is. You're not going to be able to do this alone. You're going to need people, and you're going to need the right people to be in your corner. So find those people, fellowship with those people. And again, like Issa Rae said, network across. That too oftentimes, especially as indie creators, we kind of look to the skies and look to the stars or look above us and hope that, oh my God, maybe Ava DuVernay or Spike Lee will come down from the heavens and see my work and grant me the golden key to Hollywood. But any person, Spike, Ava, Nina DaCosta, Jordan Peele, Ryan, all of them will tell you through their own experience, they eventually got to those places because they were unrelenting about their work, and they never went into it with the belief that somebody's just going to save me or somebody's going to put me on. They were dedicated to their ideas, their craft. They wanted to become master storytellers in their own individual right. And over time, because of their skill and because of their quality, those other people just came. Like, what's so interesting about where we are right now in the project, especially compared to when I talked to you last, is it felt like for the first 4 or 5 years of working on this project, it felt like we were running, chasing after anyone and everyone that we wanted to be a part of it. Now it feels like we're standing still and we're just a magnet. People are quite literally just coming to us. Every day I get a new email, or my agent will reach out to me, be like, this person wants to talk to you. This person is interested in the project. This person heard about this and wants to do something. And again, I think the most beautiful thing about that is the fact that knowing that I built myself up to the point where the work is strong enough to the point where other people are now taking notice. So again, instead of running and chasing all those big names, believing that someone else has the key to your future, no one has the key to your future other than you. And the minute you get that out of your head, the minute you're like, hey, Steven Spielberg is not going to open up the gates of Hollywood for you. It's up to you on your own to take the necessary steps to get your project out there, to do the footwork of making sure that you can be on every possible platform, that you can do hand-to-hands with your audience members. It's up to you to decide where your career goes. And I feel like for me, the minute I realized that, And the minute I started, networking across instead of trying to network above, finding people that are on my same level that had different areas of interest, different skill sets that we could all bring together, that's when we really, really started to see the change. So those would be my pieces of advice for anyone that's looking to pursue this as a career.
And I think those are great pieces of advice. I think there, and you mentioned early on, you talked about kind of the experience of writing and the experience of you're not going to create a masterpiece your first time out there. You're not going to create Pulp Fiction or anything like that. And it's kind of just interesting, you being a black creator there. Do you feel like there's an extra added pressure there of everybody's looking at you and you can't make not even something that's phenomenal, but just something that's just not mid there,
Oh,
or not even just downright terrible, but you just can't make
yeah.
something mid. What do you
Yeah,
kind of?
no, for sure. For sure. Like there's definitely that pressure. I mean, I feel like honestly, I feel it more internally than externally. I'm never thinking about like, oh man, like what if other people don't think it's as good as I wanted to be? For me, I'm always in competition with myself. I always want the next thing that I make, the next thing that I put out to be better than the first thing. When I look at part two, especially compared to part one, not even just visually, but even storytelling wise, I definitely feel like I did that. I was definitely able to level up and do better than I did my first outing around. And I'm, definitely very excited to do the same thing with the feature film. But I definitely think Black directors definitely have that unfair, additional Black director tax that they get added to them. If it's not Moonlight and if it's not, Black Panther, then, it just gets thrown to the wayside. But also at the same time, I personally, I'm always striving for excellence. I'm always striving to make the best possible art with the most possible layers. And again, not to do so just for the simple sake of doing so, but because I'm actually that invested in the world, in the characters that I'm bringing and that I'm showcasing to people. I want when people get up and they give us their hard-earned dollars, whether it's to come to our private screenings or whether it's to come to the theater once the Captain Zero movie is out. I want it to feel like it's justified. The ticket price that we asked you for, you feel like you got exactly what it is that you wanted, and even more so, you're ready to come back for more. So for me personally, I'm always striving to hit a certain level of excellence. But yes, definitely, I do think that is an added burden that unfortunately lots of Black directors have to deal with. But fortunately for me, I feel like I'm built different, so I'm definitely up to the task.
Okay, nice, yeah, very different. You definitely got the swagger for it, I would say. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I think that that's kind of important, and then also in kind of your journey there, um, I imagine you had to learn kind of some hard lessons as well. There, any kind of thing
Mm,
there you would want to depart, like things that you learned,
yeah.
like okay, I won't do that a second time.
Oh
I've
man.
been through it. Yeah. What?
Whew. Pre-production. Pre-production is, man, listen, kids, don't play around when it comes to pre-production. Okay. Planning. Again, like if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It's not that we didn't fail to plan when it came to our pre-production. It's just that again, this was our first time taking on an endeavor this large. When we did part one, it was just me, Angelica, and we had one animator that animated the entire project. So it was very, very straightforward, very, very streamlined. For this, we're working with 17 plus animators. They're all remote. Most of them are international. So a good chunk of them don't even live in America. So we're coordinating time zones, doing all these various different things, keep everyone in line. There's also different people. So there's personality management that you have to go about. How you create the pipeline for how things are being delivered, the kinds of people that you're working with. So there were definitely a lot of growing pains in those first few months when we were trying to get everything off of the ground. I think, honestly, again, one of the biggest missteps that we made was not properly accounting for everything that we would need in pre-production to help the overall process go a lot smoother. Honestly, so in totality, this project took us 18 months to complete. But had we done a thorough pre-production like we would have needed, we honestly probably could have finished the project in like 8 to 10 months. So it took us a lot longer. It also ended up costing us a lot more for the additional weeks that we had to, continue to employ all of our animators and whatnot, because of those missteps that we made early on. But I will say I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for all of them, and especially that we made them while still on this scale, which is a step above where we were before, but still not at quite the next level we're getting ready to get into when it comes to the feature film. So what I really appreciate about the experience that I learned in making part 2 is all of the bumps and bruises that we learned along the way. Now I've got like a whole detailed breakdown list. I'm like, oh no, I know exactly what to do. I know why that went wrong. I know how that happened. I know not to do this. I know to make sure to do this. So now when it comes to the overall production for the feature film, I feel like I can walk into it with total confidence and be like, okay, I know that it's going to take us this long to do this. It's going to take us this long to do that. The pipeline needs to be this way. And I learned all of that from our experiences of all the places where we, messed up. So even though, again, it did end up taking us longer and costing us more, money, I'm very thankful for everything that I experienced on this production, for the amazing team members that I made, the now extended family that it feels like, the animation team that we worked on. And man, shout out to all of our animators. I specifically want to even shout out to Noah, Renee, Juso, amazing lead animators that we had working on the project, and Noah, our animation supervisor, Justin Gates as well, our other co-animation supervisor. Justin been working in the industry 25, 30 plus years. He came on to help us really shepherd this project and really give us that veteran eye that we needed to make sure that, it would do everything that we needed to do, and also came through and gave us the beautiful polish that you see for the overall project. He helped us get that 90s, neo-noir kind of look to it. And man, really helped the whole thing come together. But I'm super thankful for all of the trials and tribulations and missteps, because all of that made me a better leader, a better writer, a better director, a better teammate. And again, it's given me the utmost confidence to know that I'm going to be able to execute and direct the hell out of this feature film. But pre-production is no joke. You gotta plan accordingly. You got to plan accordingly and have a discretionary fund for Jesus' sake. No matter how much money you think you need, tuck some more money away to the side, because I promise you're gonna end up needing it, especially in animation.
So pre-production, incredibly important. So Captain Zero Into the Abyss Part 3 will be 10 months instead of
well, Part 3 will be the feature film.
Yeah.
That will effectively be our Part 3. What's so interesting about the overall development of every visual aspect that we've been making of Captain Zero is I've honestly kind of been telling the same story, just longer every single time. Like, I think the very first proof of concept that we put out back in 2016 was like 60 seconds long, or like 30 seconds long. Then one that we did after that in like 2017, 2019 was like a minute long. And then, you have part 1 that came out that's 5 minutes long. Now you have part 2 that's 15 minutes long. And then, the movie that's 93 minutes. But all of that, again, we're essentially still telling the exact same story. But what I love about every new iteration that's being made, whether it's part 2 or whether it's the feature film, is that there is so much more context that you're getting to the world, to these characters, to what Xerxes is experiencing. And for me, that's what I think will make it so enriching for the audience. Like, I honestly can't wait for people to find out like the true origin of Captain Zero's name, to even find out that like that's actually not his first superhero name, and the story behind that. So there's so much more that we get to delve into for the feature film. So with every expansion, I'm just so excited for people to see more.
I have Hunter from the Real Pineapple podcast. They're a great guy, great content creator, runs a great podcast here, does a lot of great interviews himself. And he had a question for you. He says, what's the biggest lesson you've learned working in the field of animation?
Biggest lesson I've learned. Thank you for the question. Biggest lesson I've learned working in the field of animation. Patience. patience. You're talking about a medium where everything has to be drawn out meticulously, frame by frame, planned out weeks, months in advance. And if you make a mistake, you want to catch it early, because if you end up far too down the line when you want to make a change, you're gonna have to start all the way back from square one, back to storyboarding, back to outlining, back to the basics. So patience is definitely one of the biggest lessons that working in animation has taught me. And also, again, having that meticulous eye. Once you realize, like, oh my god, okay, like I might end up having to do this whole thing over again, it makes you more particular about moving on to the next stage, about making sure that while you're in the storyboarding stage, or while you're in the animatic stage, that you're getting everything you want, you're executing the way that you want. So by the time you get to line art, final comp, color, all of those things, the vision that you're seeing is the vision that you intended and that you're executing. So patience and attention to detail.
Mm. Uh, a great response. Thanks for the answer. Can't wait to check out some Captain Zero.
Thank
He's
you.
a reviewer as well. I don't know if you maybe want to also bless him there, but he is a reviewer.
Oh man, I did not know that. Shoot me over their contact information, whether it be their email or even like their social media, and I'll get the screener over to them.
Yeah. So hey, there you go. And Hunter is very familiar. He gets a lot of screenings himself. Does a lot of reviews. So yeah,
Oh,
very,
amazing. I would
uh,
love for you to see the Project Hunter.
very awesome there. Yeah. Any last words there? Any kind of things you wanted to shout out just about the project? And yeah.
Man, again, thank you so much to everyone that's been keeping up with the project, everyone that's been showing the project love, supporting us, whether it be likes, shares, or actual monetary contributions. We appreciate it all. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to everyone that's been showing up to our public events and our private screenings, and our showcases that we've been having. Again, if you go to our website, cuttingedgeanimation.com/tours, you can see where we are going to have more in-person screenings, and we just might be in a city near you, so you're definitely going to want to check that out. And then again, follow us on all social media platforms at Captain Zero TAS. And again, man, thank you for having me. Appreciate you. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for your platform. Thank you for the great questions. Yeah, man, I just appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It was a pleasure having you on. It was a pleasure having you on last time, and it's even more pleasure now. There, just don't forget about us when you come up there on the
Oh
big.
man, never, 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 never. I'll never be too big. I'll never be too. Even when me and Ryan Coogler are dapping it up, and on the first name basis, I'll still come back. Still come back.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and we are out of here. Peace.